On February 27th at 6:02 p.m. Why don't we stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The select member, you can have this. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Susan Strauss can pass these out. Okay. Okay, I would like to welcome Cam Hinckley, the town manager for Buckfield, and Heather Henley, who's one of the select members, who's part of the solid waste committee for the town of Buckfield. And we are waiting to see if Azalea Cormier's going to show. That's, we'll give that a 50-50 right at the moment, but we're going to go ahead and get started. We have all the members of the Sumner Select Board present and 2 representatives from Buckfield, so we have enough members to declare a quorum. And we'll start with approving the minutes from the December 5th committee meeting. Do we want to read those, Cam, or has everyone?
I don't know. I know how you guys do it. We typically don't read them.
Okay.
But they're pretty lengthy, so.
Yes. All right. Well,
I make a motion that we accept the minutes as read and as written in the Sumner Buckfield Solid Waste Committee.
I will second that motion. All in favor of approving the December 5th minutes? Okay. Okay, Cam, the floor is yours.
All right. So since we were here and this is our first meeting of 2024, I figured I'd give you an update as to where we are currently standing. I included an expense summary out of Trio, but it can be confusing, so I made some notes on the bottom for you. The transfer station currently has a remaining balance of $62,665.49, which is about 27.6% of the budget. Disposal fees at the transfer station, not just disposal fees, just added fuel surcharges and everything else. It's eating away the disposal budget. I anticipate that we will probably go over budget before the end of the fiscal year, which we have funds in the solid waste checking account that would absorb that, but it's gonna be close, and that's the reason that the proposed budget that I told Sue I've increased it, or my proposed budget was an increase of $10,000 specifically for waste and disposal. So Sumner's share of the proposed budget, if it passes both towns, would be $84,295.75, and Buckfield's share would be $156,549.25.
So that's essentially for us, it's about a $4,000 increase.
Yeah. With that said, I know at our last meeting we discussed the state of the backhoe that we have at the transfer station. It hasn't gotten any better. So I didn't propose anything on Buckfield's side for purchasing a new piece of equipment for that. However, it's something that the committee really needs to consider before next year's budget, because I don't anticipate that loader is going to continue to be functional for much longer. We put a lot of money into it maintenance-wise just to keep it running. I did have the public works foreman do a couple of, he got a couple of quotes. He looked at loaders. I don't think loaders will work over there, safety-wise. I also, and he agreed, they'd lose the advantage of the bucket and being able to push things down. So we had talked, and my recommendation would be looking at a used backhoe that's newer and better condition Obviously, it would probably be Buckfield finances it, and then we'd have to reevaluate what the transfer station pays for rent, which is $65, $35, to make it work, but it's definitely something we need to look at for next year. And then I think at the last meeting, you had asked me about disposal fees, so I tried to break it down as best I could in that spreadsheet. Basically, Archie's does most of our hauling. We pay $154 a load for just about everything except for sheetrock and tires. We also pay a $15.40 surcharge on every load that gets pulled. We pay $220 for sheetrock and shingles to be hauled, $260 for tires, and that doesn't include the tipping fees. So disposal-wise, municipal solid waste is $46 a ton. Oversized bulky waste is $125 a ton, so everything that goes in that bin off to the side of the building. Waste wood, we pay $89.71 a ton. Sheetrock and shingles are $125 a ton. Tires are $165 a ton. And then I just listed up the universal waste. There's a lot of different stuff like lamps and electronics. We don't pay anything to get rid of TVs or flat screen monitors or printers. It's primarily in the fluorescent lamps, the compact fluorescent lamps, batteries. So I just kind of provided that to you for information because I know it's been asked and I never have it in front of me, so there you go.
Thank you. Take-home point for Sumner is if you can get rid of tires other ways than taking them to the transfer station.
Not side the road.
And not at the side of the road, that'd be great.
Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot. And then I gave you a updated balance sheet for the solid waste savings account. As of today, it's currently at $116,402.02.
All right, thanks for the update, Cam. Now, changing subjects to swap shop. Don Berry, would you like to give us an update, please?
Yeah. Basically, the reason I'm here is some time ago at their first, Waste Management's first meeting, a bunch of the volunteers, because untruth things were put on to the website, onto Facebook, about what was going on at the swap shop. We didn't know where they were coming from at first. But we decided to go to the meeting to find out actually where new rules were coming from, who was in charge of it. It wasn't apparent that anybody was. So we went to the meeting. And we found out at that meeting, we actually found out there was guidelines to run the swap shop. Nobody knew about that. And after some discussion, we were informed that there was no coordinator, that Dwayne Levitt had actually resigned. And at that meeting, I was asked if I would take the interim coordinator's job. And I agreed. Since that time, we've had 2 meetings, one here in Sumner and one in Buckfield, of all the volunteers that were registered to be volunteers. And they went pretty good. I opened the first meeting because there was a lot of friction between the Wednesday crew and the Saturday crew. I opened the first meeting and asked if you have any complaints, excuse me, I said bitches, this is the time to listen to them. We're gonna take 15 minutes. There was none, surprisingly, there was none at all. From that point, we went on to the guidelines at the first meeting. We looked over the guidelines, and I don't think any of the selectmen actually liked the way they were written. And they asked us to take the guidelines and go over them. And we did that. We had 2 meetings, pretty well-attended meetings, and we quickly really rewrote the guidelines. We wrote them in the first meeting, and we had a second meeting to go back over them to see if there was any critiques we wanted to make, any additions. And from that point, we tried to make some improvements over there. we did change the structure of how the 2 shifts go. Some of the complaints were that the place was being left a mess. And probably it was at times, on both sides, on both days. And the problem with that is, a lot of times, materials come in, donations come in, right at the end of the shift. 3-hour shifts, everybody leaves, and you need more work than that. There was, at one point, there was a call that went out and would all go in. That stopped some time ago. I believe the last time I seen anything about that from Dwayne was in February of '23. So was it probably unfair? Yeah, but it was on both sides. Both days were being left untidy at times. But the new way we're gonna do that is the Wednesday crew, if it's not completely tidy, has to come back Thursday or Friday and spend some more hours in there. If we need more volunteers, we'll put them on. And the same thing is Saturday. So when the next shift comes in, the place has to be clean and orderly. Some of the improvements we've made there, we now have a real scale that you can actually put things on instead of an old green thing that you had to mess around, get anything on it and keep it on it. We've added time clocks for the heaters. It's still cool in the morning when you get there, but it's not the outside temperature anymore. It's warmed up some. They come on 2 hours ahead of time. Improvements we want to make, I'm looking to find some rug. I talked to a guy that takes out, redoes offices, big offices, and we're hoping to get some like outdoor carpet or that real close carpet. That's been used, but we can put it in there. Right now, it's a tripping hazard. You have to keep on re-duct taping it down, the pieces together. So that's what we're looking at there. I find the crew's getting along fine now. And I think when we talked to the selectmen, that first meeting, what we said, communications was missing. We weren't talking to each other, and we are now, and I feel it's a better place. We are gonna be looking at maybe an addition in the far future. We think we could use, not a whole bunch more room, but a little bit more room. Maybe some outside storage for our tables, but we wouldn't have to haul them in and out of the building. But just some general improvements. Questions? I'm trying to think of anything else we have. We do Facebook page. We now have a Facebook page if you haven't been on it. We do real time. If we have something come in, or if we want to highlight something, we put a picture of it up and try and get people to come. That now has over 150 members in a very short time. We also have another one coming out for members, for the volunteers. The volunteers it'll be a closed member volunteer site only, where you can go if they can't make their shift. The names and numbers of somebody that might be able to, the registered volunteers, might be able to fill that shift, will be on there. We have communications to send to members only, it'll be on there. And maybe future projects where we would all show up one day. We are gonna have quarterly meetings to make sure the communications don't get broken down again, and that we all can work together. So. Questions?
Are you interested in staying in the position you're in, or do you want somebody else? Are you interested in staying in this position?
Yes, I am. Anything else? Thank you.
So I've read through the new revised guidelines. I'm personally happy with them. I don't know if any volunteers from the swap shop out in the audience, one of the things we promised at the last meeting was that if you had suggestions for changes that you wanted to be made, that you'd have the opportunity to do that. It looks like you have had meetings to discuss this, but this is your last chance to provide additional input on these guidelines before we approve them. Is there anyone that would disagree or want to add anything to the guidelines that you guys put together? Yes.
Yeah, actually, I would. Under the goals, it says the goal of the swap shop is to remove material items from the waste stream and provide residents of Buckfield and Sumner an opportunity to obtain free material items for their personal use. I guess, I think I suggested this at one of our meetings. I was actually only able to attend one of them. I think that there ought to be something in there that for the other piece that's really important is it lets residents have a place to bring things that are too good to throw away. So they don't have to put it in the attic and in the basement and in the garage. They have a place to go with it. So I think that the opportunity to donate is also important to have in there. The other thing is that it is not just residents of Buckfield and Sumner who shop there. And it is very much to the benefit of the towns of Sumner and Buckfield that anyone who wants to shop, shops. Because the more stuff that moves, the less you're paying for tipping fees.
I do believe that that is in the guidelines that anyone from any of the other towns may.
One thing I'd like to say, with the online page, one of the things we're gonna do, we always have a problem with furniture. They bring furniture, it rains in between, the furniture's junk, it goes in the dump. We now have a way, they take a picture, they send it to us, and they keep it at their house until we arrange or find somebody can go on and see, and it's already happened. And also, just recently, we had somebody clean an apartment out, and we were just barraged. There was a trailer come in and just unloaded on us. So now, if you're gonna do that, you can notify us ahead of time, and we can actually put extra help on to handle something like that. And like I said, the putting things up real time as they come in. People, we've had a number of people actually see something online, they come right over. We had a grandfather clock. We've been doing it for a little bit, but it works real good, and it kind of keeps that stuff from being ruined. And especially that particle board furniture and desks and stuff. One day out in the rain or just a damp night, and it weighs 3 times what it did when it came in. And it's junk, it'll fall apart.
So I would ask the town of Buckfield if we should make a motion to accept these as the operational procedures and guidelines for the Schwab job.
You want me to talk to you? So, I think that would be a good idea. That way it shows the volunteers that, everybody's in agreement that these are their agreed upon guidelines, so that if anybody comes to the town office and wants to talk about the rules, I can direct them to anybody that's in charge or one of the volunteers, because this is what you've all agreed works.
Okay? Yes,
The
Mary
only
Ann.
other suggestion I would make is that if these get reviewed annually, so that if you just add a sentence at the end, and then if there are changes that you want to make, they would happen maybe at your annuals, at your fourth quarter meeting or whatever. So, and people could be making suggestions between now and then if they come up.
Okay.
And review them once a year.
That's very good.
And that'll be a good place, the page, you can make suggestions on the page too.
Right.
And the quarterly meetings, we would be going over them for sure.
Okay, so my motion would be to accept the swap shop operational guidelines as read February 27th, 2024, with the amendments of people having the option to donate, put into the language of the goals, and that these guidelines would be reviewed annually. Do I have a second?
A second.
Okay. I'm gonna let Cam finish his notes here first. All in favor? Okay. Operational guidelines approved. The next item on the meeting agenda is appointment of swap shop coordinator. Been made aware that there are a couple of people who would be interested in that position. So at this time, I would like to give anyone who is interested in being appointed to that position the opportunity to stand up and make their case. Would you like to start, Hilda?
Yeah, that's right.
All right.
I'm not sick, you don't mind.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
The only thing I have to say is if I have the privilege of doing it, I will do it to the best of my ability and keep by the guidelines and make improvements.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Okay, so it's between Hilda. Wilda, I'm sorry. Forgive me. You can swat me for that later.
You're fine.
And Dawn. So I open this up to the board for their nominations.
Well, I nominate Don Berry. I think he's done a heck of a job to pull this together and provide us with the information that he's provided today as far and the work that he's put into making that a working relationship with between the volunteers. So I have the motion to nominate Don as the coordinator.
Procedurally, I think I would ask at this time is if we have any other
Motion.
nominations or discussion. All right, having none, and having a second on the nomination of Don Berry, all in favor of appointing Don Berry as the swap shop.
Wait, if you've got two people nominated, you're gonna have to have them both voted.
That's right.
There's only one
Well,
nomination.
there was only one nomination though. Bill nominated
Don Berry.
and there was no other nominations.
How do we do that?
How do we do,
So-
so is it only nominations only from the select board? Not from the floor?
Two volunteers, one nomination.
Can
Go ahead, yes,
If you'll allow
please.
me.
Yeah.
The guidelines don't account for that. The guidelines say the coordinator is appointed by the Buckfield and Sumner Select Board. So, I mean, I'm sure you guys would be interested in hearing other people, but I think the nominations come from you all.
Correct. So based on the guidelines that we just accepted, I move that well, there's already,
There's only one.
yeah. Okay. Yes. Sorry, my Please, Deb.
I'm confused.
Yes, I just confused myself.
I'm confused because both Don and Wilda have volunteered to do the coordinator
Yes,
position.
that is correct.
And there was only one nomination, and I'm not sure that that's the right way to go.
It's not legal.
That's what I'm saying, I don't understand. If they both volunteered, I think we need to take that into consideration, don't we?
I think the way it was explained is
It's their choice, yeah, I understand, that it's their choice. My confusion is that we have two volunteers and that's my confusion, that we have two volunteers.
Yeah, and then only one was nominated for the position.
by the board.
By the board. By the board, yes.
Okay.
Okay. So, based on Bill's nomination and the second, all in favor of appointing Don Berry as the swap shop coordinator? Okay. All right. Don, you are the swap shop coordinator.
Jag on there.
Next year.
Is it a one-year? Is it a one-year position?
Is this the
Yes.
6-month
There's
term?
one.
Or is this the?
That is one thing I don't believe that we had discussed.
I would recommend that the volunteers, when they review their guidelines next year to put in a term limit, because right now there is no term limit.
Well, can I ask another question?
Yes.
Since it's the board's decision to nominate and select the coordinator, is it not your decision to set the term limit?
I think it would be. When we meet annually, twice a year, but on the second meeting of the year, why don't we bring this forward again and either continue with the existing coordinator or appoint someone else in that position?
I think in the guidelines that it addresses who's in charge of the coordinator. This team up here is actually in charge.
But it didn't have a term at that time.
There's no time limit, yeah, that can be added for sure.
We can review the term limit 1 year from now.
So, why don't I make a motion that the board decides to review the swap shop nomination annually?
And can we have that amended so that it shows that?
And we could amend the swap shop operational guidelines to reflect that. So first, I would entertain a motion to review the swap shop coordinator appointment annually. Do I have a motion?
Second.
I
You
have-
Made the motion.
Okay.
Oh, I thought you made the motion.
I said I entertain one, so.
I make the
I want
motion
to-
that we review the swap shop coordinator annually, add it to the guidelines.
Okay, do I have a second on that? Second. Okay, everyone in favor of that? Okay. I would now make a motion that we amend the swap shop operational guidelines as accepted tonight to reflect the fact that the swap shop coordinator nomination will be reviewed annually. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
All in favor? Okay. Done. Apologize for making that so painful. Too much, you know how that
I need that too.
Okay. Do we have any other business for the Buckfield Sumner Solid Waste Committee tonight? I would entertain a motion that we adjourn.
Make a motion that we adjourn the Sumner Buckfield Solid Waste Committee meeting.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Buckfield Solid Waste Committee meeting adjourned on February 27th at 6:33 p.m.